Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. Today's presentation is how to expand your social network with content. So here's just a look at our agenda. We're going to get started with a little bit of information about the WWBC, and then we'll get into our topic on content marketing. And lastly, we'll leave some time for questions and answers. In case you have anything that comes up, I would love to be able to chat with you. So before we start, I want to go ahead and point out the Zoom control panel on the bottom of your screen to those of you who are joining us live. I want to call attention to both the Q&A and the chat function. If you have any comments or questions during the webinar today, I'd like you to use those to communicate with me. This webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent out to all registrants shortly after the live event today. You can also visit the WWBC website at wyomingwomen.org and navigate to the training tab to view all upcoming webinars, as well as past webinar recordings, all for free. If you're watching with us live today, a survey will launch shortly after we close the presentation. If you could please complete that survey, it provides us and our funding partners with a lot of valuable information and helps us to plan content that benefits you moving forward. As a reminder, all participants are muted to minimize any background noise. So once again, if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, please feel free to type them into the chat box or the questions panel. The WWBC is a nonprofit organization in Wyoming whose mission is to enable and empower our entrepreneurs with a special emphasis on women who are economically or socially disadvantaged. We do that through 3 distinct programs. One is our business counseling and training program, which is always free. The second is our microfinance program, which offers microloans. And third is the Artist Development Center that we run in conjunction with our Works of Wyoming store in downtown Laramie. I want to call special attention to the services that are available to you as business owners and clients of the WWBC. You can sign up to become a WWBC client by going to wyomingwomen.org or contacting us directly for more information. Towards the end of this presentation, I'll have some contact information, some email and phone numbers that you're welcome to write down if that's how you prefer to get in touch. So with that, let's go ahead and get started into our content for today. So if this is your first time joining us in this month's series, we have been talking about business networking all month long. And as I mentioned, you can get all of those recorded webinars by visiting the website at wyomingwomen.org/training. If you haven't yet, this first one that you see an image of on the screen, what is business networking and why is it important for my business, is a great place to start. In this one, Christine talks about what is business networking, what are the many ways that we do it, how is it beneficial to us in both making sales in our businesses and also making connections that are valuable to our well-being and the growth of our business. So today, I'm mostly going to be talking to you about social networking. So thinking about things like social media, email, when you're engaging with people in the digital space. We're going to talk about 4 things. First, what is content marketing? Second, the benefits of content marketing. Next, we'll talk about the foundations of creating effective content. If you've been in any of my webinars before, this will be familiar to you. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about building your social network with content marketing. So first up, what is content marketing? I am sure content marketing is a thing that you have seen, you have engaged with, whether you knew that this is what it was or not. This definition is from MailChimp, and it says, content marketing is a marketing strategy used to attract, engage, and retain an audience by creating and sharing relevant articles, videos, podcasts, and other media. This approach establishes expertise, promotes brand awareness, and keeps your business top of mind when it's time to buy what you sell. So obviously, it's a great thing. Here are some examples of content marketing. You'll see on the left, there's this article, 10 tips to make the most of holiday shopping this year. This was created as a way to make an experience for customers easier, providing tools and resources. You'll also see in the top of that article, there's a video that's on gift wrapping. So something that maybe we all need a little help with around the holidays when we're trying to make something special. To the right here, you see a clip from YouTube. This is just a hair tutorial video. This would be an example of content marketing that something like a stylist or somebody who owns a salon could do that could be really beneficial. It's showing how to do some updos for a special occasion. So it would create a relationship between the business and the person watching. So they start to connect before they even walk in the door, before they buy anything, before they buy a service. And that helps to attract the customer and to keep them engaged and to feel like they're connected to you. Below that, there's 2 screen grabs from Instagram. The one on the left is 6 quick warm-up exercises to do before any workout. Once again, this is providing value to somebody who is looking for this. So maybe you run a gym, or you're a personal trainer or a yoga studio, and you know that these are things that the people in your community are looking for. This is just a quick little, it's an animated video that shows some things that are beneficial to them. And just like the hair tutorial, this is starting to build a relationship between you and the customer and providing them with something of value. Next, this is one of my favorite kinds of content marketing, which can oftentimes be seen as kind of silly, but just because it's silly doesn't mean it's useless. So this is a BuzzFeed quiz. You've probably seen one of these on the internet. They're all over the place. And this one just says, what kind of dog are you? So this isn't going to provide anything extremely valuable. You're not showing them how to do a thing or giving them a skill that they're going to take with them into the world. However, you are probably going to make them laugh or smile or make them want to share this with their friends. And that means they're going to remember you, and that is valuable. And then lastly, on the right, this is an infographic that's just 7 ways to support a small business. So this is just another way of providing information that's valuable to your customer in a different form. Infographics generally aren't super text heavy. They have graphics that allow you to absorb the content in a way that doesn't feel as burdensome as maybe reading an article or something like that. So as we get into this, you'll see that there's many kinds of content marketing, and something to remember is we want to make it easy for the customer or the audience to digest that information. Articles are valuable. However, we spend a lot of time on the internet, and frankly, we get kind of lazy. So when we can look at a little animated thing that tells us the same information that an article does, that's incredibly valuable. So some benefits of content marketing. 1, it builds relationships. As I said, it connects you and the customer, the business and the customer start to get to know one another without actually being face-to-face, especially if it's a video or something where you're putting your face out there and providing information. People are going to start to recognize you and become aware of what it is that you're doing, which leads me to the next topic, which is increases brand awareness. Ultimately, we want our brands to be out there and for folks to be aware of them. So the more content marketing that you have out there that's branded for your business, the more people are going to recognize it. They're going to see something pop up on their screen, and they're going to know, I know what that business is. I've been watching them. I'm interested in them. And that means they're way more likely to eventually buy something from you or connect with you in a way that's beneficial for you both. It boosts sales. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Creates brand loyalty. So all of this relationship building it creates a loyalty. It makes it so when a customer is looking for a new product, that they're going to think of you first. If they know that you provide them with all of these great resources, you always have great ideas, and you always have, excellent service, and they're engaging with you routinely, when it comes time for them to replace an item, hire you for a new service, refer a friend, you're going to be at their top of mind. And that's helpful. It generates leads, it creates interest, so people start to reach out and wonder, who is this? What are they sharing? I'm so curious. It also closes sales. So if somebody's been watching you and they're unsure if they want to purchase from you or they want to work with you, as they develop that relationship with your content online, then it's going to encourage them to move forward and pull the trigger and buy that service or buy that product. It opens up opportunity for collaboration, whether that's with other businesses, people in your community, organizations. People are going to see what you're doing, and they're likely going to be excited and see opportunities for you to work together. And it creates evergreen materials. So what I mean by evergreen materials is they're not outdated, so you can reshare them again. So if you made, for example, that hair tutorial or those warm-up exercises graphic, yes, it's going to take you a little bit of time on the back end, but those are still going to be valuable, whether you post it in January or you post it in August, whether you post it this year or you post it next year. And even if you have to update the graphics or update the text a little bit because something changes, it's not as difficult as completely rebuilding material. So having evergreen material in your marketing stockpile is extremely helpful and a great way to work smarter, not harder. So here's just a little bit of data that further enforces this. 47% of buyers view 3 to 5 pieces of content before engaging with a sales representative. So that speaks to the idea of content marketing helps you close your sales, it creates leads, it really facilitates these relationships. And I think it's pretty powerful to know that somebody needs to see 3 to 5 things before they're willing to, move forward. And 72% of business to business marketers say that content marketing increases engagement and the number of leads they generate. So clearly this is a very effective way of marketing. Oops. So next, we're going to talk about the foundations of effective content. And like I said, if you've heard me present on marketing before, then this is not going to be new to you. Here on the right, you'll see a screen grab from a previous webinar called Building Customer Relationships Online, How to Connect with Your Audience. In this webinar, which is available as I explained before, really deep dives into this getting to know your audience. And I really think any business owner, regardless of how you're marketing, whether you decide you want to move forward with a content marketing strategy or you have another plan, I still think this is incredibly important to know. And here are 3 places to start. 1, know your audience. Who are they? What does their life look like? How are they spending their money? What do they need? What are their problems? How are you solving their problems? You created your business for a reason and with an audience in mind. And spend some time thinking about who is that person. Second, know where your audience is. Is your audience online? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Facebook? Or are they reading the newspaper? Are they in local events? Do you need to be in farmers markets passing out flyers? Do you need to be trying to get content into a local newspaper? Where are they at? And how can you get to them? Next is know how you'd like to deliver. So in knowing who these people are, knowing what they need, knowing where they're at, then you need to think about how you'd like to deliver those materials. So that's things like, I'd like to deliver in a digital format. I'd like to do video. I'd like to do graphics. But also, how would you like to communicate it? And that varies based on the business you're in. If you are a florist, then you probably have a very fun, colorful presentation of your information. However, if you're an attorney or an accountant, then you probably have a more polished, professional a way of speaking and presenting information because you're talking to completely different audiences. Maybe you're talking to them in the same platforms. Maybe, it's social media or it's in the newspaper. However, there's going to be a different tone. So that's important to consider as you start to build content. So some other things to keep in mind about creating and curating content. And I made sure to include curating because creating content that is yours is important, but also sometimes you're going to share content from other people. This is a great way to create relationships. Is it there's people in your community, whether that's in your physical community or in a business community, in a broader sense. If they make something that you think is valuable to your audience, then share it. Ask if you can share it. That's providing something of value to your audience. It's showing these other people who created it that you like what they're doing, and it's starting to facilitate a relationship with them, and that's building your social network. So some things to keep in mind are create content that's compelling. It's interesting, it's not boring, it's not dull. You know your audience, you know what they need, and you're telling them something compelling. It's concise. It doesn't need to be lengthy and wordy. It's quick and easy to read and digest. As I mentioned, we spend so much time on the internet. We just want to see what it is you're trying to say to us in relatively short order. Consistent. You're consistently using the same voice, the same brand, you're sharing the same information. You're not, posting different links to go different places. You're not using different colors or different fonts. You're not sending information that makes it so when I digest it, I think, I'm kind of confused. I don't know, is this you? Is this not you? Creative, however this looks for you. It looks like your brand. Maybe you have some fun with it. Maybe you create a piece of content that is unique to you, much like that, what kind of dog are you quiz. I'm sure there's something in your business that you could create that's unique to your industry that could be very valuable for people, whether that's something that's going to entertain them or is going to be really helpful for them as they move through the world. And conversational. This is a really important thing that I talk a lot about, and something I hope anybody can take from any marketing message I ever say is people connect to people. People don't connect to things. We don't connect to objects. We don't connect to just pretty photos as much as we connect to human beings and their lifestyle and the emotion they're portraying. So when you're creating content, think about ways you can put people in your content. Can you get in front of the camera and make a video and introduce yourself and provide something of value there? Can you share a tutorial video about how your product works or about how your service is done that includes your voice and real stories in it? That's where real relationships are made. Much more than just posting a picture of a thing and saying, hey, look at this thing. So lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about building your social network and using content marketing. So I have 3 ideas for you to consider here. And the first one I think is very important, and that is, what's your goal? What is your goal of your content marketing strategy in building your social network? And the reason to have a goal is, first off, it helps you narrow down what you're doing. It helps you focus. And also it gives you something to measure. Sometimes it's really hard to know if your strategy is working or not, because especially when it comes to building your social network, we aren't necessarily measuring sales. We aren't trying to get tickets to an event sold or appointments sold. We're trying to maybe build awareness of your business, and you want to have more people who recognize you. So maybe that means something like social media followers or traffic on your website. Maybe your goal is to close the sale. So then, maybe you're in a service industry where you're spending a lot of time really kind of moving through the sales process. And so you'll know when you finally got them enough information that they closed on the sale, especially if somebody references it and says, I've been watching you. I love your tutorial videos. I really like this thing you shared in your email the other day. I'd like to move forward and book with you. That's incredibly valuable to know. Maybe your goal is to connect to like-minded entrepreneurs. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with sales. So you're just trying to find friends in your industry who also have small businesses, which is incredibly valuable. This is a thing that gets talked about throughout other videos in the webinar series this month. It's not always about just making money and getting the item sold. That's important, but we also need to take care of ourselves, have some people who are in the thick of it with us. Similarly, maybe your goal is to collaborate with local organizations or make friends or discover businesses and resources. Maybe you have a boutique and you're looking for really unique, locally made items from artists and artisans. And so your goal is to really scour social media and find what's out there and see who you like, see what product you like, see what businesses you're inspired by. These are all really valuable goals in building your social network. So another important question to consider is, how will you provide value in this process? So we talked about this when I introduced those examples. All of those examples aren't just an image of a thing. It's not just a picture of hair that says, you need a haircut, come get one. You're providing information. So there's a lot of ways to provide information. You can provide information in infographics, helpful articles like that one I showed you about holiday shopping, tutorials. Maybe you have a product that people need a little bit more of a little bit more information on how to operate, or maybe you share recipes for how they use it or something like that. Videos, you could do all of this in video form. Podcasts, resource guides, checklists, inspiration, industry wisdom. So if you're trying to connect to other entrepreneurs or other people in your network, then maybe you're sharing things that look a lot different than when you're trying to connect to somebody that you're trying to make a sale to. Personal stories. This is that people connect to people idea. We love personal stories. We want to know, how did you start your business? Why did you start your business? What's happening behind the scenes? What are your bloopers? What does your process look like to design something? Sometimes you see these unboxing videos where people will get a package of something new, and so they'll do an unboxing and share something. Stuff like that we really like, because it feels like we're with a person and they're telling us something. Make you laugh content. So that's just like that "what kind of dog are you" quiz. Playlists, templates, book reviews. This list could go on and on and on. And really, it all depends on what your business is and what your goal is. But my main take home point here is, how can you provide something valuable? We don't just want to put your business out there and say, "Hi, my name is Jess and I sell cakes." No, we want to share something that's valuable. Maybe that's, doesn't mean that somebody's going to buy a cake from me in that moment, but they're going to remember me when it is time for them to buy a cake. And then, lastly, how will you stay engaged? We often forget that social networking and social media is social. So a lot of people just put something out there, kind of asking something for their audience. And the truth of the matter is, there's a little bit more that needs to happen there. It needs to be a little more reciprocal. So making sure that you're carving time out to stay engaged with your audience is really important. Things to do are respond to your comments. If somebody asks a question, make sure you're responding to that. Share tagged photos. If your clients or your customers are sharing photos and they're tagging in it, comment on it. Let them know how much you appreciate it, and maybe share it on your feed too. Explore hashtags. So maybe local hashtags or maybe industry specific hashtags is a really good way to stay connected to what's happening. Engage with local businesses. If you have favorite local businesses in your neighborhood, if you're a downtown business and you get coffee at the same place and you get your nails done at another place, engage with those online. Engage with those businesses online too. You're really letting them know that you support them, and that's helpful for them in many ways, if only just to let them know, "Hey, I see you, you're doing great, I'm cheering for you," and hopefully they'll do the same for you. Tag others in your content. So if you're a boutique and you're sharing local artists, tag those in your content so they share it as well. Spread the word about who you love. If you, just like I mentioned, if you have a favorite coffee place that you get coffee for your staff from once a month, take a photo and tag them in it and just let people know, we really love these people, you should check it out. And collaborate. Collaborating, especially in small towns, is a really great way to dip into each other's networks, to meet new people, to find new customers, to learn more about what's happening in your community, to make friends, to find folks who are dealing with the same maybe heartaches that you're dealing with, particularly in this last year. I think connecting to small businesses was really important for folks. So collaborating is a really great way to stay engaged. So with that, I'm going to leave the last 6 minutes or so for questions. So go ahead and pop those into the Q&A panel if you have any. And while you do that, I'm going to go over a little bit of quick information. So the Wyoming Women's Business Center is made possible through several partnership agencies. Our primary funding comes from the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Wyoming Business Council, which we are so thankful for. for their support and guidance, and look forward to the work ahead. As promised, here is some contact information. If you're interested in getting individualized business counseling, you can reach out to our business counselor, Jonathan Howdyshell. Information is here on the left. If you have any questions for me, I'm the marketing director for the Wyoming Women's Business Center. My information is on the right. If you enjoyed this webinar, we have lots of topics coming up this month. Remember to visit our website to register for these under the training tab. Once again, going to wyomingwomen.org. You can see here just a few of the things that we have planned for August. All right, so Karen, I see your question here. I tend to post the same content on Instagram and Facebook. Should I be posting different content? You know, this is a question that I hear a lot, and I think it depends. It really depends. I think if I don't want to tell you that you need to be doing more if you don't feel like you have the capacity to be doing more. The fact that you're posting on Instagram and sharing the same stuff to Facebook is super valuable. And congratulations for making the time for that. Many people struggle with just that. There's some things that I do think are important. So that's, so like on Instagram, for example, when you post a hyperlink, when you post a hyperlink on Facebook, that doesn't work in Instagram. So sometimes you have to change your caption to say something like, use the link in our bio for Instagram, because people can't click on it and get to where they want to go. I think when it comes to creating different content for Instagram and Facebook that's important, or that's valuable, would be maybe if you decided to start using your Instagram stories, that's going to be mostly on Instagram. Some of it can push to Facebook. So really, I think in a roundabout way, I'm gonna say, I wouldn't worry too much about posting the same content on both. If you notice that you have a significantly larger audience on one or the other, then maybe that's cause to evaluate and see what's working and do more content where it's working. But really, it so depends on how people are engaging with that. I hope that helps. That's a tough question to answer. Well, it doesn't look like I have any more questions. So when I close the webinar today, as I mentioned, a survey is going to pop up on your screen. It's a quick 5-question survey, and I ask that you stay online and complete it for us. We read each of these surveys, and it helps us plan our upcoming calendar and improve our offerings. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us, whether you're watching this or catching the recording. I look forward to chatting with you soon.